I know the title of this video will immediately get people to want to hear about the hilarious experience of getting my work utterly trashed by one of the better known photography related channel hosts on YouTube, but to give you a better understanding of the experience, I'd like to tell you a story. Because developing skills in any medium, be it art, music, culinary, comedy, whatever, it takes time. Despite witnessing or experiencing these forms of media all your life, it doesn't give you the inherent skill at producing it. It may give you some ideas of what to look for, but there's still much to learn. Just like reading books all your life wouldn't automatically make you an author. It's a process to get there. Story time. Before I even picked up a camera, I had been using Photoshop for at least 5 years, primarily as a graphic designer, and the projects I made in Photoshop always tend to be very slow ones. My first enjoyable experiences within it was creating posters, which would often take hours if not days to finish. And when I did get started with photography, it was the only approach I knew. This would lead to me often spending several hours editing a single photo, but the experience of making photos like this was super intoxicating, and I couldn't get enough of this new hobby I found. I was suddenly scheduling shoots every week. Also, through my work at the radio station, I got the opportunity to do concert photography on many occasions, where I'd done shoots for Floor, Mansionaire, Olivia Holt, Backstreet Boys, Matt and Kim, Tokyo Police Club, sometimes even getting thanked and praised by artists I had tremendous amount of respect for. On one of my final shoots I did in the year of 2018, I felt I had made one of the coolest photos I had done yet. And what do you know, days later I watched a Jared Polin video where he asked for submissions for a portrait critique. I picked out what I considered were my 3 personal favorites, and waited.
This was more like, I know, that's immature, so dislike it, I guess. But that's really what I'm getting out of this photo, is that she is floating on the ground because she just let out a lot of smoke. That's just really what I get out of that photo. It's not a very good portrait.
Taking harsh critique when it's something you love that you made is pretty difficult. And this is something I've known for years, having previously attended college for graphic design and having my hard efforts bashed many times. What I didn't know is even if you are used to it, you are always vulnerable by being crushed by it. It was crushing for me to hear. I had a lot of respect for Jared. I liked hearing his viewpoints on photography advice overall, and the mindset he carried as a photographer. I found him funny, and I was a fan. But out of thousands of people who upload photos to the critique, I basically ended up in the photography equivalent of bad singers trying out for American Idol. That's what it takes to improve, though. Harsh critique brings the aspects you overlook to the forefront. Your first pictures you are proud of may have a couple of things going for them. Decent sunset for a good background, maybe a funny candid moment. But by and large, there are always going to be flaws and shortcomings that a pro can point out. And the stupid thing we do as new learners is we take our best work, show it to someone we feel has a more qualified eye or someone that you know has experience in it, and then we expect that they will absolutely love it as much as we do. Then, when they shit on it, we feel gutted and betrayed almost. When the reality is, they could just see what we obviously could not. And whilst I say it's stupid to expect praise in these situations, seeking approval is still the right thing to do, because that harsh critique that you might get unwillingly, it's going to leave you feeling awful, but it's honestly really good for improving. It's the equivalent of falling off your bike as a kid until you learn how to balance. As a human, you naturally learn very quickly from painful experiences, both emotional and physical. As much as we try to avoid them overall in life, if you don't seek them out and experience them in your artistic endeavors, you're just stunning your professional growth by sheltering yourself. What Jared's dumbass farting noises taught me is I had fallen into the trap of doing too much post-processing in Photoshop to where it actually made my photos worse overall. I can say now what initially was the only thing making me capable of producing images I was thrilled with was also my biggest crutch, because the truth to world-class photos is world-class photos don't appear to have an ounce of Photoshop present in them. The most widely appealing pictures loved by the most people in the world tend to lean toward photos that look nothing more than what you could see with your own eyes in the most beautiful of conditions. They can still have specific color grading applied with LUTs, they can still have plenty of Photoshop behind the scenes, but ultimately, it has to look like something that the camera captured unaided by anything in post. And when my entire strength is basically making up for my lacking photography by countless hours of dodging and burning, liquefying, resampling, frequency separating, and just about every other thing you could learn on Piximperfect. Well, simply put, my pictures never captured that look, because I was stuck in the mindset that the photos I took as they were never enough until I put hours of editing into them. All this came down to the fact that I wasn't as good as a photographer as I was a photo editor, and over time I toned down the amount of Photoshop I did, and I started picking up on the skills I lacked. And I truly think my work is better for it, but I had to get hurt to find out. So I want you to get out there, put your best foot forward, and let whatever the critiquer is going to say be said. And if it's harsh, don't give some explanation shit in return like, oh well, I was trying to go for this, or oh the reason for that is... They don't give a fuck, and they didn't notice. So whatever reason you have is irrelevant. Like, think to a 5-year-old crashing their bike. Did they say, well hard, uncomfortable Mr. Pavement? The reason I fell and cut my knees open was I was trying to make a turn while constantly wobbling the handlebars and going 1 mile an hour. They don't know how to make an excuse for it. They bawl their eyes out because the experience sucked. They learn from it, and the next time pedal harder and hold the handlebars more firmly. So I want you to get out there and go crash your bikes. And thank you for watching.